Okay, so I'm going to show you how to enter in some data, make a histogram, a boxplot, and pull up some summary statistics. So I've already got some data entered. You can enter the data as a list here. In this case, I have diaper usage for one of my children, right? So I named it as D, and then a 1 equals square brackets, and I entered in all the data. And we can see that there's a total of 68 different pieces of data. The alternative way of doing it is pressing the add item here and choosing a table, right? Now, usually the table would default to X sub 1 or X1. You can change that. Again, I chose to change it to D1 or D sub 1, right? And have all the rows here and all the data entered in there, all right? The next thing that we can do is graph the data, right? So there's two ways generally that I'm going to want you to do this. It's either with a histogram, and to get a histogram, we're going to go to Functions, and you just got to scroll down a little bit until you see Visualizations. So we're going to choose histogram, and it needs the data set and the bin width here. So I'm going to do D1, right? I like to make sure the bin alignment happens to the left, and it always defaults to a bin width of 1, right? We can always manipulate that and say, like, maybe we want a bin width of 5, right? You have to kind of experiment with what you want. Now, obviously, we can kind of see it appearing over here. If you want it to zoom in, we're going to hit this zoom fit key. Sometimes tapping it on your iPad, you got to be very careful when you tap it. You might have to tap it twice. It doesn't always recognize it here. So a 5 might be a little too large here. So let's try a 2. And then when you change it, again, go to your bin width. So you see 2, and we can see a 1. So actually, one isn't so bad. The next thing we're going to want to do is make a box plot. So to box plot, again, I'm going to go to the next expression entry, right? Go to Functions, and we're going to go down, scroll down until we find Visualizations, box plot. And same thing, right? We're going to do of our data set. Now, you can see that it appears here, and it's overlapping the histogram, all right? Now, what we can do is we can offset that. So right now it's defaulting to 1. If you wanted to appear below, we could offset it to, say, -1. And you can see we have it now below the x-axis. Or you can even have it above. So we can see here at 10, we might want it to go to 11, 12, maybe even 13 might be a proper offset. Height just changes the width of the box. So if I wanted to make sure that it was nice, within the grid, we can do that and change that however you deem appropriate. I would always make sure that the exclude outliers box is checked, because if there are any outliers, we would see them then. The next thing we're going to do is pull up the statistics. So here we would go to Functions, and you can choose the mean. Again, we're going to do of our data set, diapers. So we can see here there was 12 diapers used on average. We could also pull up the standard deviation. So again, we go through Functions. STDEV is going to be our choice of our data list. Now, you could pull up the 5-number summary as well. So that one, so I'm going to go in here in the 7th one, a new expression list, Functions. And although you could type each one in, this stats actually helps us compute all of them all at once. So we can see, right, we have the 5-number summary all listed out for us. Now, if you wanted to apply a normal model, we can go to option 8 here, Functions, and you can find the normal distribution. So that's normal dist here. Now, you can type in the mean, or you can have it compute what the mean is, right, for each one. Is that instead of doing the frequency here, we might do the relative frequency. And that way we get a nice overlay of the normal distribution with our histogram. Just checking and making sure that it lines up correctly. Okay. And then the very last thing you might want to do here is label your axes. So here I'm going to hit the wrench. That'll bring up the x-axis and the y-axis. This was daily diaper usage. And here we have, because this is now the relative frequency, we're going to say it's the relative frequency of daily diaper usage. Right? And so now, right, you can screenshot this, edit, crop the image however you might need, right? You have all your statistics and summary values that you can add in as well. And if you wanted that boxplot to appear again, we certainly can. We can have it offset to. We'll go with 0.2. And we'll have a height of, one might be a little too thick here. So we'll say 0.05 so that we can kind of get it to appear in overlap. So this would be a great image to have for your assignment. If you do have any questions, don't be afraid to ask me in class.